So we are going to practice watercolor techniques, and these are techniques that you may be interested in using on your final when you do your inspirational word quote on watercolor. We're also going to, on a different day, do some color mixing practice together. But for this is watercolor techniques. I know some of you have used them before. You've used watercolor. How many people really haven't since they were little? Yeah, quite a few people, right? So we're just going to go through these. These are fun ways to use watercolor that I think you'll enjoy. It's going to be a relaxing day. I'll walk you through it step by step, and then we'll probably have time left over where if you are behind and you need to catch up on your project, you can't, okay? So the things that you're going to need is your watercolor tray, your watercolor brush that's in the tray. You're going to need your watercolor paper, this little shiny plastic thing, this cap that has rubbing alcohol in it, Q-tip, Capri Sun straw with no Capri Sun to go with it, and a paper towel. The other thing that you, yeah. I know, somebody gave me buckets, like 3 buckets full of these, but I don't know where they came from. So I don't know if they were from the manufacturer or what, but there was like 3 big buckets, like that big, full of these yellow straws, which are clearly Capri Sun straws. The other thing that you don't need yet, but when it's time, you're gonna need this, and it doesn't look like anything, but it's actually salt. But you won't need that until the end, okay? So, and you should have your pencil also. And I am using black paper so that you can see everything really well, but you guys have that white paper underneath to protect your table, and you're gonna use it for practicing, testing out your paint. So if you don't have that white paper out, get that out. If you've lost yours, you can get one from up there and then keep it from now on, okay? But I'm just gonna use this white paper here. So the first thing you're gonna do is on the back of your paper, you're gonna write your first name, last name, and your block number on the back. So I'm writing my first name, last name, and my block number. You can write just the block number, or you can write 4th block. Then turn it over. These are my examples from 1st and 2nd block, and I'm going to show those to you. So once you've done that, I'll show you these, and I'll pull these out every once in a while to show you. But these are my examples from my other 2 blocks. So we're basically doing a tester of samples of different techniques, okay? So the first thing you're going to do at the top is write watercolor techniques. Watercolor, which is one word, techniques. Put it up here close. T-E-C-H-N-I-Q-U-E-S. Okay, so you wrote watercolor techniques. Now, I want you to look at the way that I set mine up, and you can set yours up however you want, but we're going to do 8 different techniques, okay? So I did 4 straight up and down and then 4 at the bottom. You can arrange it however you want to. Yeah. So this is how I had mine. But you don't have to write them all down right now. We'll do it as we go. You're famous. So the first thing we're gonna do is write down flat wash. So a flat wash, you guys, is just what you think of as like regular, like let me do this, quotes, air quotes, regular painting, right? Just like a solid layer. So before you start, I wanna go over a couple things. So you've got your water, right? And you've got your paintbrush, and you have your paints. Now, tell me, why is this not working? It's not moisturized. There's no water in it, and it's watercolor. So that's how you activate the color, right? This is red. It's just very dark. What color do you want me to do my flat wash with? Purple? All right. Purple came out first, so let's see. Now, I have to find out which color. It should be in order. So it should be red, orange, yellow, green, blue. This should be purple. I'm going to check and see. Yes. Okay, that's purple. So Watch. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And then I'm going to test it on this paper. I'm not going to go straight to my nice paper. I'm going to go here and test. And if I want it to be darker, I'm just going to, oops, I went to the wrong color. I went to my blue. If I want it to be more intense, I just dab it around in there a little bit longer. Are you guys ready? We got to dab it. Huh? This is okay. So for a flat wash, test it on here, and then you're just gonna do a nice, solid, even layer of whatever. You can do purple, but you can do whatever color you want. I dabbed mine around a lot. Do you want me to do it again?
No, I mean my purple.
Oh, I know. Some of them, mine that I can't find is that same color. So some of your, depending on the whatever, you know, brand you have, it'll be a darker or lighter or whatever. But so just make a nice even layer. So you guys, what I take this brush, everybody look up here. When I take this brush and then stick it right in the yellow, because what would happen? It would get mixed up. So I'm gonna rinse it off. Now watch this. It sounds really simple, but if I wash it, can I trust that it's clean right now?
No.
How would I check? How would I check? I would check it right on here, make sure. And they're still a little purple, so I would want to rinse it a few more times until when I check it on the paper, it's clear. So just a nice, even, smooth layer. That's flat. Now, I'm going to do the next one, which is graded wash. And I do not mean I'm giving it a grade. Does anybody know what I mean?
No.
Let me show you the example. Which one is the best one? This one here. I'm going to show you this one. So do you see how it goes from dark to light? That's like, have you guys ever heard of a gradation or ombre? So like some ombre goes from one color to the other, but some goes from light to dark, right? So gradation just means it gradually changes. So shall I do purple again just so that you can see the difference? Okay. Okay, I'll do green. So I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm checking to make sure it's clean. Then I'm gonna go here to my green, which these are in order of the color wheel, which we will talk about next time we do watercolor. That is
my old art class, we had vocabulary.
No.
Like, it was like
Good. Well, I do too, but yeah. No, it's good. Okay, so for the graded, are you guys watching? The main problem that I had when I was first doing this morning and kind of warming up is I had too much water. So what I suggest is getting it so that it's kind of intense like this. And then, now you could go left or right. I'm going top to bottom. But then I'm gonna leave that little bit of dark there, rinse off my brush a little bit so it's not so dark because it's pretty intense. And so we wanna just, and then I'm gonna get off most of my water and start with the light at the bottom and work my way up here. You see how it starts to bleed? So that it kind of real gradually goes from dark to light. You see what I did? And then even so, I feel like this is kind of going a little bit too much, so I'm gonna kind of dab it up a little bit. And then I feel like I want a little bit more darkness than I have at the top, so I'm just gonna add in just a little. I didn't add any more water, but then I'm gonna get all that extra off. So you just kind of play with it, but you want it to go very gradually from very dark to almost nothing. And that is a gradation or a graded wash. A wash just means, that's pretty good. That might be my best one. That's because it's my third time today, right? Would you mind rinsing this out? You what? Yes, you are good at it. Yes. We are all goats.
Hey, look at this.
That looks really good. Okay. Thumbs up if you've done your graded wash. Thank you so much. Okay, good. So the next thing is, you're gonna like this one. Yep, that looks fantastic. Yep. So the next thing is lifting, and we don't mean weights. What color should I do for lifting?
Yellow.
Yellow might be, let's pick a dark color for this one.
Brown.
I could do brown. Okay, lifting. So now I got to figure out, I think this one on the end is brown, but I got to test it because I haven't used this tray before. Yeah, that's brown. Okay, so listen to this. This is the special trick for you. If you make it too wet, it's not gonna work. If you make it too dry, it's not gonna work. You want it to be kind of a nice flat wash, but make sure you have enough pigment in it. Lifting. And you'll see why in a second. But like this is a little bit too wet. So I'm actually gonna take some of my paper towel, which I don't know what I did with mine. Yes, so you can see what lifting says. I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of this, which is actually what lifting is taking your paper towel, but not like that. We just want it to be, mine was too watery, so I'm gonna make it a little darker. Hold on. You just want it to have enough pigment and not too wet, because, there, that's better. Do you see how the other one was like a little bit watery? Okay, so this is better. And then, to make lifting, you're actually lifting some of the pigment, some of the color away. So you're gonna make a loose crumple with your paper towel because you don't want it to be flat. You're not trying to just clean the whole thing off. So if I go like this and use the crumpled paper, I can just soak up a little bit, or it's called lifting. You see that? So that's called lifting.
Oh, that's simple.
Yeah, it's simple and it's fun. And you can go in, you know, however you want to do it. But that's called lifting. So the trick is to start with enough, not too watery, because then it'll just kind of like blend back out. So not too watery, and you want it dark enough that you'll be able to see the difference between the parts that were lifted and the parts that weren't. Thumbs up if you have done the lifting. Okay, good. So the next one that we're gonna do, I want you to watch, that looks great. I want you to watch me first before you do it. It's called alcohol dispersal. It's rubbing alcohol dispersal. Alcohol, does anybody know what disperse means? Spread, right. So if you had a crowd and you wanted them to disperse, you want them to become uncrowded, to spread out. So for this, again, I'm gonna use a darker color. Do you want me to use brown so that you can see the difference between the lifting and the alcohol dispersal? Okay, now you don't have to use the same color I do. You can, you're welcome to. But you do not, you're not forced to, okay? So for this one, I'm gonna do kind of a longer one. And again, you don't want it too watery, and you want enough pigment for it to work. And it's a fun one, so I recommend making kind of, you know, yeah, pretty dark. But not too wet, because it won't, if it's too watery, it won't work very well. You don't want it dry, but I don't know, it's hard to explain how you want it, but. Just right, yeah. We want baby bear porridge here. Okay, sort of like this. Okay, but you don't want to hold like pools of water or anything on it. And then I'm going to show you the magic trick, which is awesome, as long as you have the right consistency here. If it doesn't work the first time, do not worry. You will just try it in another spot, okay? But I'm about to show you the magic. Make sure your eyes are up here for a second. So I got my straw. And you guys know if you take your finger over, you put it in water and then you put your finger over the top, how it holds the water in. Yeah. We're gonna do that, but we only want a tiny bit of this rubbing alcohol, and watch what happens. Which I only did this, today is the first time I did it, but it's super fun. So you take a little bit and then you drop it, and look at that. Or you can take the tip if it has a little bit and go like this, and it makes a dot. So it doesn't take much. If you have too much, then the whole thing just kind of blends together. So just little tiny bits. Yeah. And you can play with, you know, like how it would work. That one was a little bit of a bigger drop. So you put it in so that the tip of your straw is in the alcohol. Then you put your finger over it, it holds it in, and then when you get to where you want it, then you let it go. So what? Yes. Here, I'll give you this. And you can also tap the ends. You can use this one. Okay. Isn't that cool? I don't know how I managed to never do it before, but Miss B did it, Miss Bogner. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Thank you, appreciate you. Okay, thumbs up if you did the alcohol dispersal and it was awesome. Okay, good. So the next thing is pointillism, and I want you to watch before you do it. So has anybody ever seen artwork? Thank you so much. Where if you stand far back, it looks like a picture, but when you get close up, it's made out of dots. That's pointless. So good. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, but before you start, I still have to rinse off my brush because it's still a little bit painty. Now, I'll tell you what not to do, and you can tell me if you know why. Don't do this with, at least not for today, don't do it with purple and yellow, because do you know what happens when you blend purple and yellow together? It's close. It's not black, but it is a neutral. Brown. But not just any brown, like baby poop brown. So, I mean, if that's what you want, have at it. More power to you. But for me, I'm gonna, this is called, oh yeah, I forgot to write it down, pointillism. So it's point, and I'm gonna do 4 at the bottom because so it's P-O-I-N-T, like point, and then I-L-L-I-S-M, pointillism. And I'll go like this. Pointillism. Now, you could either use, you guys see this one here? I use blue and green. So wherever it blended, it became like a blue-green, right? So I could, for instance, take yellow and blue, and then when my dots kind of blend, what would I end up with? Green. So I would have yellow, blue, and green. But if I wanted to do analogous colors, which we'll talk about another time, I could do yellow and green, and then I would end up with like a lime green, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is get my paints ready. So I feel like I'm going to do yellow and green. Is that good with you guys? Let's see. I'm going to turn this paper so you can see more of my... So I'm getting my example. So I'm going to take my little yellow, make sure I like it. I want to make it so it's pretty dark. And then I'm going to get my green ready too, which is probably just about ready since I used it already. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, for me, it worked the best if so you can use one color for each end, okay? I liked to, because you don't want to, and then test it on here still. I like to get my Q-tip wet before I use it, sort of like it's a paintbrush. And I'm gonna make sort of random dots. Leave some white space, but don't do it like a pattern. Just kind of fill in some empty space, okay? Then you're gonna flip it over and you're gonna do the green. Check it on there. And now fill in some more of the empty space. And you can overlap, it's fine. Probably will want to overlap. So I'll have my regular plain green, I'll have my regular plain yellow, and then sort of an in-between lime green, which has a name. Does anybody know what it's called? Lime green? But do you know what, like, so we have primary and secondary colors? Well, it is neon. It can be. So secondary is green. If you have in between the primary, which is yellow, and the secondary, it's called tertiary. Yep. And I want more obvious dots, so I'm going to go back in and add in a few more because mine kind of blended a little bit. There. So that's my pointillism. You should be able to see separate dots. Now this is gonna sound crazy, but we're gonna keep these. So rinse it, kind of dry it off, and then we'll use it again another time, okay? And so you're gonna keep that in your kit. Because I brought them from, well, these I brought from my house. So I don't want them back. but I want you to keep them, okay? Yeah. Okay. That is pointillism.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Bro, oh, I forgot I gotta get the Q-tip wet.
Thumbs, yeah, I think it works better if you get the Q-tip wet. Thumbs up if you have got your pointillism. That's good. Keep on working. It's fine. That's right. Okay. And again, always check your paper to make sure your brush is clean before you move on to the next thing. I'm going to write the next thing down so that when you're ready, you can do it. So the next one, make sure you leave space at the bottom for the last one, but the next one's called wet on wet. And do you guys want me to do like sunset colors or watery colors? Okay, so I'm going to use probably orange and yellow, okay? But don't start that without watching because there's one special magic trick. So we already get the paint wet, right? For a wet on wet, what do you think is the other thing we get wet? The paper, yes. So, and the reason is it's going to help it blend. It's going to be very easy to blend the colors and make them fade into each other. And we said we're doing sunset type colors. So we're going to have yellow and orange and red, right? But I'm going to check and make sure my water's not perfectly clean, but I think I can work with it for this. But if you wanted to get, so I'm going to get my paper wet. So you see I just put only water on it, right? Then I'm going to take my yellow, but I'm going to check and make sure it looks good, and it does. For sunset, is the yellow at the bottom and the red is at top? Okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that on there. And I'm going to rinse my brush. Get a little bit of orange. You don't have to do this kind of blending. I just think it's a good chance to try it out and have fun with it. But any colors you want to play with are fine.
So you can just go through.
Yeah. And then I'm going to add a little bit of red. And you could blend them if you want. Huh? Yes, exactly. So then that's technically for real what it's called is bleeding. So when you have water on the paper and you're doing the wet on wet style, it bleeds. And so it makes it easier to... Some of the trays, it's hard to tell the red from the orange. So on some of them, the red and the orange one look the same. Yeah. So there's my little... So it's kind of a red orange. If you want it to be more orange, add yellow to it.
That's what I did.
Okay, good. Perfect. Good. So that's wet on wet. Okay, now we only have 2 more left, and you are going to love them both. No, that would not be easier. For the at-home audience, don't drink the paint. Okay, so the next 2 things I'm going to show you, one is salt, which you don't have available yet, but you will. And then the other one, thank you so much, is 2 more. Yep. So the first one you're going to do is salt, and the other one is plastic wrap. Now, what you have is actually just plastic, like from a decorative gift thing. So with plastic wrap, so for the salt, this is gonna sound crazy, but on this plate, you can hardly see it, but there's a little salt. Can you hear it? Yeah, you can be the salt bay. But literally all you need is a little pinch, and let me show you, and then you can do it. What color should I do? Blue? Okay. So I'm gonna go to my blue. Don't let it be too wet. Kind of the same as when you did the alcohol dispersal. You want it to be, you know, baby bear. This is called the salt technique. So this is really cool for like wintry skies or snowstorms. So watch what happens. If I take that and then I take a little pinch of salt and I sprinkle it on, it was literally just like a couple speckles of salt. The salt is going to soak up some of the pigment, And then when it dries and I brush it off, it's gonna leave little white speckles. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna come up here and literally take just a pinch with your fingertips. You don't want very much at all. If you have too much, it won't look good. So you're just gonna take just literally, not even a whole, like not less than a cooking pinch. You see it's like just a tiny couple sprinkles. No, just get it from here. Yeah, just a little tiny couple sprinkles. He's gonna salt bay it on there.
Don't you say you gotta wipe it up or something?
No, just leave it and it's gonna dry, and then once it dries, that's okay. If you want to put a little bit more, you can. I feel like I might want a little tiny bit more on mine too. All right, y'all are doing awesome. So the last one, you're just gonna do a flat wash and then just lay this on there, and the crinkle for where it lays while it dries is gonna leave a mark, kind of like lifting. So I'm doing the same color so that I can see the difference between my salt. Oh, that was too much. That was very dark. Well, I might leave it that way just to see what happens. So you do that, and then you kind of crinkle it up and lay it on there, and then that's gonna stay on until it dries. Who's at the door? So then you just let that dry, and then you're all done. And then tomorrow you'll take it up, okay? All right. To clean up, can I have all the eyeballs up here to make sure that you all hear me? You're gonna pour your extra green alcohol into this so that I can reuse it. You are gonna hang on to this. You're gonna rinse it like a paintbrush, dry it off with your paper towel, keep it in your art kit so you can use it. Again, you are not gonna throw away these cups. We're gonna use them until they die. So you're gonna go give them just a real quick rinse, and then separately leave them out around the sink on the metal part upside down so that they can dry. You're gonna put your own kit away. The only thing I need back is the alcohol that you're gonna pour in. You're gonna hang on to all your little tools. So you're not gonna throw anything away, okay? If yours looks like this, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna stop the recording, but I'm gonna freeze this so you can see it if you're still finishing up, okay? And also I'm gonna say thank you, audience, for watching this demonstration of watercolor techniques. I hope you join us again soon.
Have a good day. Bye.
Have a good day. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.